So first of all, tell me this: how many constructors does the line cleaner class have? No. Look, the rule is, once again, listen. The only time Java makes a constructor if you don't provide any at all. Every class always has at least one constructor. So if I ever ask that question, how many constructors? The answer is never zero. But Java also doesn't always make a default constructor or no argument constructor. And so what I'm saying is, if I made it like this, then there's one because Java would make one. As was, I provided one, so there simply isn't a no argument constructor. The only one we have available to us is this one. If I wanted to have this one and a no argument constructor, then I have to make a no argument constructor or no parameter constructor, and so I say no line, public line cleaner, and put nothing inside the parentheses. And I can do this. You don't have to do this, but if you want to have it, you must provide it yourself in a case like this. Just for the record, and a lot of times we will do this. Look, if I left this out entirely, then I said Java would produce one like this that takes no arguments, and it would have no code, which means it would simply create the object, create the variables, like in memory, set aside room in memory for the variables, and it gives them default values. If it's any kind of primitive, like a char, an int, a double, then it sets to 0 automatically. Which, by the way, if it's a char and it's 0, you print it, it's not really a printable character. It's not a space. The character code for a space is 32. It's just nothing. Okay? And then if it's something like string, we call it a reference variable because, if I actually had a string, I don't, by the way, I have just a variable. To explain that again, by the way, look, imagine, you're trying to organize your house. And what they say to do is, set up some boxes. You set one for, like, to give away, to donate, another box for throwing away, another box for, what you're going to put for late storage, maybe, another one you're not sure about. And, so you set up these boxes, right? So when you're first starting out, you would get these boxes, label them. At that point, you've created the variables. That's all you've done. You haven't put anything in the box yet. Okay, so I'm just saying, that's what we talk about when you say create a variable. You've created a box. You created a container. That's all you've done. There's nothing in it yet. Now, like I said, though, Java will set this to 0 automatically. It'll set this to null. There's no string object yet, but if you made one, this wouldn't store the object anyway. Store the location of the object. Just like I can't store a house, I can only store the address of my house. Okay? So I'm saying what Java automatically does, here I'll show you. It would set line equal to null, and if you print it, you see null, which once again there's no object actually, and it would set remove to 0. So, but we don't want that. If you have a string, you should set it to empty string at least. So you have some kind of string object. Because if you have that, you can call your methods on it. You can say, that you can say line dot size or length. You can do index size. You can do all these things because you actually have a string object. It's weird because there's no characters. But like if you say line dot length, you get 0. Unlike here, you do line dot length, and your program blows up because there is no object. There is no length method. So anyway, this is just, and then for a default character, I think a space is a good character. If you leave it 0 like that and you print it, you may not like what you see. So it's better to have something. Now in our case, we just don't even have a default, which is fine. We just have this one constructor. Now, what is the purpose of the constructor? To make an object and give it the values we want to give it. If you look down here where we're calling it, in our example, we're giving it this string followed by that character, right? So I'm saying those two things need to end up stored by this object. They need to be stored in our variables, line and remove. So that's the job of the constructor, to build the object and then also get the data where we want it. Except for this constructor passes the buck on to the setCleaner method, which actually does what I just described. It copies the string we want into our line variable and the character we want into our move variable, and there you go. Once again, watch. You don't have a choice here because it was already written this way, but if you're writing your own code, you can do that if you want to. Does that mean they're identical? No, because one's a constructor that builds an object and then runs a code, and then the other is a method that just runs the code you told her to run. All right, that was all, review essentially. Let's talk about how to implement the get clean method. First of all, you have to remember, if you're searching for something in a string, index of will search for it and tell you where you found it. So like this first X is at what spot? Not 4. Remember, it starts at 0, right? So 0, 1, 2, 3. And so if I remove that, then I'll find this and remove that one. And then what happens? If they're all gone, what happens when you call index of? It returns -1. And so, in fact, once again, you can, if you don't remember that, I mean, it's in a PowerPoint somewhere, but you can also just look up the string class. Give me a minute. Okay, that's kind of zoomed in, but it's okay. Find the index of method. Okay, there it is, just the first one. Well, well, we're searching for a char, so use that one. And look down where it says returns, what it returns. I mean, the description probably says so, but down here it says returns the index of the first occurrence of the character you're looking for, or -1 if it doesn't find it. And so I'm saying, if you don't remember, that's where you can look that stuff up. So, look at our algorithm. And by the way, if you put greater than -1, that's perfectly fine. It's just, as long as there's another X in there, another character they're trying to remove, index of will tell you told it where you found it. And so that's what lock will store. And then you just do substring up to lock. And just to be clear, like here, when we're trying to remove the 3, you can't actually remove the 3. What we're doing is produce a new string that's missing, I mean, not the 3, the X. That is that spot 3. You don't really remove it, you make a new string that has it missing. So if you go from 0 to 3, which is where the X is, it goes up to but not including the X, which is what we want. Then the other substring, you do 3 plus 1 is 4, which goes from the A to the end, which is perfect. And so it builds a new string. And it just keeps repeating. And you can see we did index of before we started. Now we do index of again, and to keep the loop going.